two of you in there now. Two of you.
Should only be one.
Well, there's two. I removed the one in the middle. Talk. Let me see if you're. Well, it's the blank one. There you go.
And then there was one.
Yeah. Oh,
Hold on.
there we go. I think we're good. Oops.
Is there an echo?
No,
Okay, good.
no echo.
Oh, I just heard some shit.
What's that?
I heard an echo for some reason.
Well, before, yeah, because it took my computer was logging on real slow to YouTube. I couldn't mute it
Yeah.
after it'd been going for a while. But I think that's just spyware is fucking slowing it down.
So what's happened the last couple of weeks?
I don't know. Much.
How many you got? Can you see how many are watching right now?
Oh man, two.
There's two of us. Okay. Oh, that's only on StreamYard, right? You don't know how many's watching on YouTube.
No, it's two on you. Well, it's down to one now. It's either the Twit or Jack or Michael or Ronald. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ronald's living a high life now. Got his own pad, you know.
I don't know. I haven't heard from those guys in a couple months. I don't get on any live streams. I don't know.
I have no idea, man.
I don't know who runs
this.
live streams with them anymore. I don't know.
I only do this.
Gareth has that one that's always on, or
Well, I never see that.
they just check into or something. But
I don't know.
it's been months since I've.
He didn't
Michael,
realize
I have no
that-
idea what's up with Michael. I haven't seen him
Yeah.
for probably 6 months or more. I heard he got his VA stuff straightened out, so he's probably rolling into cash now.
Oh, with the adoption of the kids?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he was in a
He-
video
he-
with. He was in a video with at Daryl's bar there. A couple months
he
ago.
was.
Or something.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know if I don't remember how long ago.
You mean
Oh,
when
fine.
Christian was there with him?
No. Before that.
Oh. Yeah, because he was up in Manila to do stuff with the VA, and
I got on the wrong bus.
and then the last I heard, someone said he's got like 3 different places now. Kept his old crib and got a couple more. So I don't know.
I always thought he was renting. So
Yeah.
it's no surprise to me, but that's income there for whoever, you know. And you got a sister. You got a sister-in-law living there too. With
He
a
got
kid?
like 7 kids.
Shit. 7 kids in a 3-bedroom place, huh?
No, that was back when he had his little place. I don't know how many bedrooms that one was, though. The original one.
Uh,
I don't know. Whatever. To each his own, you know. So what's been going on the last 2 weeks?
I had a kid just came in the room whining about something. God, you'd have thought there was 4 kids in this house. Got the TV. I mean, that big TV I got. I don't hardly ever get to look at any. Because she hides the remote on it, in the morning. She doesn't sit there and watch it. And I never know where it is. I don't even think to call her and ask her, gee, I spent his money on his TV. I can't even. He's watching his. I don't know what the hell he's got. Something on there he likes. Well, school, one of his classmates has a birthday tomorrow. My wife she didn't go to church last week. She said, well, I got to, because they go to different churches, probably, to make money. Every church can make money.
Yeah.
And she was going to go tomorrow. I said, well, he's got to interact with some kids, man. He's on this, from the moment he gets home from school, he's on this, this gaming that probably should be for, definitely be for somebody a little older than him. Once in a while, I'll drop a F-bomb in there or some shit. He went to school once and he drew a middle finger on a guy's hand and showed it to all the kids in class.
Sure.
I was like, nah, man, my dad. I remember I did that in front of I didn't know my dad was watching me, and I saw this kid from school, and I'm putting them both up, Unbeknownst to me, everybody in that line was, my dad was embarrassed. He was an asshole anyways, but when he got in the car, man, that split second, he slammed the door a little harder, just reached back and crack. I knew what that was for. I didn't do that for a long time.
No, I never did. I never swore in front of my parents.
Well, I waited until I was 18, but I was like 16, I think, and one of my friends, we lived in got 2 houses per lot, and ours is by the alley, and I'm sitting there talking to my friend. I go, yeah, my fucking old man, I'm fucking old man won't let me go. He was fucking standing right there at the door.
Right there.
He didn't hit me for that, man. I think he was I showed him one time that I wasn't gonna, stop putting my hands up to defend myself, and then he stopped. But it was just par for the course.
I don't know if my parents ever heard me swear. They might have. If they came, there was only once or twice they ever came to watch my soccer games. I might have said that out on the field, So that's the only time they ever heard me say anything bad.
He looked surprised because he hardly ever. I don't even. Golly, man. He didn't swear. I mean, he might have cut loose once in a great while, but he looked at me like, "What are you talking like that for?"
And my older brother would cuss like a sailor. My dad would whack the shit out of him. So I learned what not to do by watching my brother get his ass whooped. I'm like, you dumbass! You're going to get your ass whooped for that. He didn't care. He just wanted to push the envelope.
You're sitting there going, "Thank you."
My dad would be like, "I don't want to hear any goddamn swearing in this house."
Swearing.
Yeah, I know. I almost started giggle, but I don't want to giggle. My ass whipped. So
I had thought that I had seen every. I worked second shift, second and really early, so I missed all the, Seinfeld stuff and all that. And then when I did go on days, I just got the later stuff. But I saw an episode from Seinfeld I had never seen before, and I thought I saw him all. And he's this little kid, this lady. I don't know how to relate it. This lady, I don't know how she was a friend of his or some shit, an older woman, and this kid comes in, the kid and his mom come in the door. He goes, "Hey, Mom, that's that funny fucker." They bleeped out fucker. And he's going, "Jimmy, I was wrong. I was wrong. I should have never did that. It's not good. Don't talk like that, okay?" And he's carrying on a conversation with somebody else. Jerry is. And the kid on his answering machine. He fucked it up, and he's just pulling tape out of it. He goes, Seinfeld goes, "What the fuck you doing?" and and James said, or Elaine says, "Why is it? Why'd you kid swear so much?" She goes, "How the fuck should I know?"
I didn't watch every episode. I'd see it every. At first I didn't like it, but then I watched a few of them. I always liked Kramer. He was my favorite.
Yeah. He goes, what's this? George says, yeah, he should. His life's like a fantasy camp. He falls ass backwards in the money. He goes, he could plunk down $2,000 and live his life for a day. He said he gets laid for free. He gets money for nothing, and
Sex for free.
Yeah, he gets all this stuff.
What was that? Julia Louis-Dreyfus. What was her character? Elaine.
Yeah, Elaine.
Yeah. She was kind of hot in a next door girl kind of way,
Oh,
she's become a flaming lib in her old age. So.
Easy to do, man. When you're, she's around our age, not a year old, a year or so older. She's real easy to do. You know what? She was an only child. Do you know how much money she inherited when her father died?
No.
Billions.
Nah.
Yeah. Billions.
And they're all the ones whining about the evil billionaires, right?
Well, it's easy, that makes me laugh when Bernie's doing that shit. Oh, he's rich. You fucker's a millionaire, man.
Yeah, he's got like 6 different properties, and he's like, yeah, I'm one of the struggling man. Yeah, right.
Appreciate, well, you got this money you shouldn't have been getting. Well, I was doing it by the buck. I wasn't. Yeah. I didn't get that illegally. Yeah. You don't even know how much. Probably don't even know how much.
Yeah, had to have a private sector job in his life.
Here's a guy. Like the fucking quintessential fucking communist or fascist, and he's talking about himself. It's real easy. And it is easy. I mean, I've had nothing before, but it's real easy to sit there and because you either averted it living like shit, or you did something about it. Something happened, but it's real easy when you got something. If you haven't had nothing, you have no fucking idea. You can't. I don't care what anybody says, unless you live that life like other folks. Then you have no idea. It's people. I told this kid at work. Well, I was younger. Our clerk's son. Golly, man, he's about probably early 40s now, late 30s. And we're talking about when the Brewers first started, or the Braves before they left. And I said, you know what? I can appreciate you, having the knowledge or hear you, but you only heard about it, man. It's when you live it, it's different. He's like, yeah. I mean, and I had a concussion at one in 2016. And he's asking me these questions, like rapid fire questions, like we're on a talk show. We're on the timer, Partridge or Partridge. What do you call it? What's that place? Family Feud. Yeah. He's just ripping, firing these questions. I'm trying to answer them fast. He's like one after the other. Man, you're fucking killing me with this. I mean, they gotta be yes or no, because I wasn't allowed time for no explanation, and I didn't study.
Yeah, I found out my daughter down in Florida, her and her boyfriend split up.
Your daughter down in Florida?
Yeah, former Marine.
Oh, that one. Yeah, okay.
Well, she got a job down. I mean, she got a good job, but she got this house. My wife now and our oldest daughter went down last weekend for the weekend to Florida to see my son's one of his rugby matches.
Rugby.
Yeah, he played rugby for the university down there, and so. But my daughter, she just closed on this house April Fool's Day last year. That should have been an omen, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, and then that was April 1st. By November, her and her boyfriend had split. He's still active duty, so they split. So now she's got this. It's got to be almost a $500,000 home. It's a nice fucking place. It's like 6 bedrooms.
What the hell are they doing with something that big?
Well, she said I wanted to get a big house because I got a big family. So everybody's, anybody wants to come visit, they got room. So
I didn't think she had any kids.
and that was she doesn't. She has a cat. All right. So and I don't think she ever wants to have kids, right? But anyways, she got this big ass place, and now he's out. So I guess obviously they didn't buy it together. They weren't married, so she's probably footing the whole bill for that. I mean, she got a good job, but damn, a mortgage on that's got to be way the hell up there.
You can't buy somebody out with something that big.
So she's obviously now looking to downsize, but hey, you live and learn. But,
yeah.
These kids, they get a good job and they think they got to live. They see this lifestyle, in the media and social media, and they're like, "Oh yeah, shoot for the sky," But they don't realize, man, they lose that job. That big old house, is going to go up for foreclosure or some shit, So
well, back in the early early 80s, I had a girlfriend, and me and her and her girlfriend and her boyfriend would go out once in a while. And that was a different one. It was a side guy. We had the two couples, ours and them, and some other third party that once in a while they come out. And this guy was saying, he's like making fun of the unemployment, fun of people unemployed. He goes, yeah, they lose that money, they lose that job, and then they lose their house. I don't feel sorry for them. Fucking the very next week, the guy lost his job.
He was there,
yeah. Yeah.
I just saw in the news they just found that Doge team just canceled. There's 3.2 million active Social Security numbers of people over the age of 120 years old.
Yeah, that's all it is. That ain't nothing.
So they mark those now as inactive. So all those numbers were going to a bunch of people who shouldn't be here probably, and they were getting benefits on all those illegal numbers, and that shit's going to get cut out. So that probably means at least probably the crime rate's going to go up because those people now are out of their free ride. But the problem is all those people get to vote under a fraudulent Social Security number. So
they don't get nothing. Who cares? Let them vote.
What do you mean?
That's $30-some billion a year.
Yeah.
Taken because they can't claim it. So who cares?
Well, we're going to see.
Listen.
If it makes a difference.
A lot of those numbers were inactive, and that these people, they never either were taken off, either mistakenly or somebody didn't give a shit, or they entered the wrong digits in there.
Tony, no, years ago, Tony, there's this little town. It was on the Arizona-Mexico border, right? It had to be a town of maybe 500 people. They built a brand new post office there with like tens of thousands of P.O. boxes. Now, why would you need tens of thousands of P.O. boxes for a town that has 500 people? It's because all these people were getting benefits from the government, coming across the border, getting their checks and stuff, and then living large back home. Okay? There's people that they were there. They saw it happen. There were
Listen,
some people had multiple fraudulent social security numbers. And
you,
you and I, now if we owe something tied to our social security number, man, they're on us like, flies on what. But how can you have all these fraudulent numbers of people? They probably get not just checked, they're getting SSDI and all this other shit, right? That's falling through the cracks.
when it comes,
People say, "Oh no, it's not happening." Well, now they're digging in to find out, and all these other people are whining. "Oh no, they can't do that." Sure, they
Joe,
can.
they
It's the tax levy.
they haven't found any credible anything yet. And as far as those checks, they don't, Social Security don't allow a PO box. You have to have a physical address.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
man.
they're gonna find out. I know for
Because
you and me, for people that abide by the law, yes, Tony, we do have to have one, and
no,
they'll come after us if we are documented and we have a legal social security number. Hell yes, they'll come after us. But if we just have a made up name with a number, how are they going to ever hunt you down? Huh?
they don't need to. When when you're putting money into a system you'll never ever collect from, I'm all for it. By putting them like that, the only aspect they need to vet them. They need to check out their background. The only problem with the Democrats is, there's a system in place to process people, but they got this bum rush. Hey, come over and say you need political asylum, and they want to leapfrog that fucking line. That's the problem. There's already a system in place to process this shit. But you never hear about that because everybody's always screaming. It's like a group of fucking protesters in a road, and here comes a fucking car and they get hit. Well, what do you expect? All of a sudden it's a fucking travesty, and there's
then they're a victim because they were standing in the middle of a
that guy? He just drove right by us, even though we're hand in hand like a fucking chain across the road. You dumbass. Shit, fuck. Well, they had a guy. I think it was. I don't know if it was Australia or here. I forget where, but there was these people were protesting this oil company or something like that, where they processed the crude, and it was a truck coming in, and all these people are attacked or getting in the way and all that. And the reporter's going, yeah, the guy said, what's going on here, And the lady says, well, these folks protesting about some oil, company or something. The guy goes, yeah, but that's cooking oil.
Rocket scientist, huh? Hey, did you see that one guy? Well, he's not officially a Darwin Award winner because he survived throwing a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla. He caught himself on fire. There's some camera video. Someone's door cam caught him running away with both arms on fire.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. What a rocket surgeon.
I was thinking, on that little town I was in Ohio, like my aunt's daughter from her first marriage. We always call each other cousins because we're all the same age. But one is Jimmy Buck. We just call him Buck. Jimmy Myers. The stepdad adopted all of them. My cousin had like 4 or 5 kids, but he's teaching at the police academy now. Last time I saw him, but this one guy named Wes O'Hara. They had this family where they were all super gifted athletes of every sport. These guys were just kick ass, and one that was in a school with my cousin Mike, and Mike's about 4 years older than us, maybe 4 or 5. And the guy was the family everybody turned their backs on this guy. He finally died a few years ago in his late 50s or something like that. But he was at there was this campfire, to keep warm. It was in Ohio Valley, so, and my cousin Buck, he hears these guys arguing or getting loud in the jail. I mean, in the cell. He was at where the offices are, and this fucking guy he was with says, "Why'd you throw that leg in the fire? Why'd you put my leg in the fire?" Because I was cold. He fucking guy's sleeping, and he puts his fucking leg in the fire, man. Holy crap, man. But I go down there, I go down to gas stations that, everybody, all these gas stations have either Pakistanis or Indians, and I think they're Pakistanis. And I go to, down there, that's like Mr. Whiteville there, and every one side of town, you got this, the other side, you got that. And I said, "Steve, what the fuck going on around here?" He goes, "They're all over, man."
Where was this, in Ohio?
Yeah, a little hick town, man. Yeah, it's a day in Milwaukee. There, they had a guy. I don't know where the guy owned a bike. He drove a Mercedes, whatever. He owned 6, and I used to think, how do they get this cash? Well, these 2 American guys, they're brothers. They lived outside of Milwaukee in West Allis, Wisconsin. And they were telling me that, I said, how do these fuckers buy all this shit? Get branded? They had to go through all kinds of shit, licenses and financing and all kinds of crap. They ended up selling the place, but they built a new station and all that. But they said, yeah, that dude, the guys come in like diplomats, maybe they're, and they get immunity. They don't check their luggage. So they come in with a suitcase full of fucking cash, We had a guy working at driving for us that was a Indian, Indian.
Uh-huh.
And he says, yeah, these guys, they'll take the ink off the expired bag of chips and stamp a current date on them. Because I bought them at this one place. It was near my layover, so I just run in there, get my shit, and get out. And the guy, I said, "Man, these fuckers are stale." I said, "I know how this shit works." Because the guy, I go, "How many you got? How many you got?" "I got 3 cases." "Yeah, I'll get them for 25% of what they cost." Right. But these 2 dudes, this guy I worked with, Yakum, he's from Lebanon. His dad was in Arafat's inner circle. And the same name, last name thing, Yakum. But this one guy that ran the station that I used to see every night, he was married to some fat white woman. And I knew I could just tell. And he looked at me one night, because I used to see him every night. "Oh, you working today?" I said, "No." And he had something on his mind. But I think this guy was one of those, I think he was one of these fucking crooked ones, Uh-huh. I didn't dare ask him, because then I got to, if I hear some stupid shit, then, I got to say something. I can't let that go by. Uh-huh. But the south side of Milwaukee, the far south side, near all these other towns, used to be man, if you lived out there, your parents were doing pretty good,
Right.
And now it's all full. They converted not that it's bad, but they converted an old school into a mosque, and certain time of the day there's taxi cabs all over the place. But that they're filling that whole area, man. whole area, you know.
But I mean, when you and I were growing up, like you said, the nicer side of town, these people might have had good jobs. They might have been like the manager at the company, but they
Well,
weren't like really. We never saw the real super rich.
no,
Like
not that.
we were never exposed to like Hollywood, Beverly Hills or Miami, stuff like that. If the guy we thought Rich was the guy who's like, the shift manager at the mill, because he
Yeah,
made a little more money than what our
uh,
fathers did. We were like,
oh
oh,
yeah.
they're rich, but their house was just a little bit bigger, but it was no
That's
freaking mansion.
I used to say to myself, man, well, once I turned like 40, I had a couple houses before that, but the last one I had that when my wife first came to America, um, that had a finished lower level. It was fucking awesome, man. I mean, really done, and it turns out these other friends of ours from Little League, they knew the people that had owned it. And the only thing I didn't like was the long driveway. And they put what a waste of a lot. I mean, you got land in back of the garage, but it's kind of, they got a shed in the back, and it's like a wasted space.
Yeah.
So I detested doing the driveways because I had a shitty snowblower, and I even broke the shear pin on one. I only had a half of it working. You know, couldn't figure out why. I'm just out there every freaking
I mean,
day.
it wasn't until I was like in high school, really exposed to and getting to know what other people's parents did. I thought if you weren't sweating, you weren't
Yeah,
working. You know what I mean? If you didn't have a job where you were like manual labor, to me, that wasn't a job. Like guys that went to the office in a suit or something every day. In my mind, that wasn't working because working
I,
was physical labor, like in a steel mill or like
yeah,
my
I like.
dad did cement work. We busted our balls.
Uh,
But these guys,
yeah.
like, they're like, oh, he's a teacher, he's a banker, he's an
Well,
administrator. I'm like,
I got to be friends with a few people when I used to go out to roller skating near the Milwaukee border on the south side, like right down the road from Milwaukee. A lot of them. It was in Greenfield actually, I lived there years and years later, when I came here, and they, I'd be over their house, man. I go, fucking nice. Got a rec room, got man, it's in a nice driveway. You got your own garage. I never had a garage. So I got a taste of that stuff. A lot of cops would live in a certain area. Did you ever hear that Bembetic chick, Laurentia Bembetic?
nope.
She she was dating this cheap. She was a cop, and she was dating this married cop, and then his wife ended up getting killed. And they were blaming it on her. The old man went down to Florida, living high in the hog, and never had another problem. But she's blonde, nice looking, and I was in back of her once at this where I had my first house. I was at this Ace Hardware, and I thought, oh fuck! I said, you know who that is? And my ex-wife said, no. I said, that's it. I didn't say it too loud because she was looking right behind. And her parents, she was on parole. Her parents were, she had to go live there. Her parents lived around there somewhere. But that area where that cop lived, she ended up getting this guy this Italian guy, I forget his last name, but he had a job at Briggs and Stratton. They make the lawnmower engines, a bunch of other shit. And he went on the lam with her, man, was hiding her. Just took off. She gave him a little booty tang and made him go crazy. He left a job that he had 20 plus years, for for nothing, because then he lost that. Plus he was whatever the charge is for that shit. But all these people are making these T-shirts, "Run Bandy, Run," all this shit. It's like a pretty stupid shit. But she ended up, and she was supposed to go on TV on either Phil Donahue or somebody, and she jumped out of the hotel window, you know, 'cause she was under, she was had that like ankle bracelet thing. She jumped out the
Yeah.
window and hurt herself. She died. She wasn't that old when she died. She died years after that, but she didn't get to grow old, you know. I don't know what, I forget what her issue was. She had cancer or what, but it was just it's one of these things when we had a police chief called named Harold Breyer. This guy was like a fucking Gestapo, man. You talk about people getting fucked up that shouldn't have been. This guy was no nobody in their right mind messed with him. These cops, probably all over the country back then, they beat the fuck out of you before he, you know. Oh, he fell. He
Yeah.
fell on.
He fell
You know,
down the steps at the station.
Look,
Yeah.
they had this guy, and you probably find him if you Google his name, James Chamberlain. He was from, I think, South Milwaukee, and he got busted. He was flashing kids. He had an overcoat on. He was exposing himself. He was exposing himself. So the cops got, you know, the cops, they were called there, and there were like about 15, oh, 15, there were a lot of cops. And his face was unrecognizable. He broke every fucking bone in it. This guy, you didn't even know who the hell he was if they didn't show a picture. And the cops, when they went to court, the cops said, yeah, he fell over the motorcycle 15 times.
When I was in Oklahoma, there's this morning rock and roll station. This guy what was his name? Spinozzi was the DJ. He said, yeah, his dad was a cop back in Baltimore, and he called that the wood shampoo.
Yeah.
They take the nightstick upside your head.
Yeah.
He said, yeah,
you know
he used to give him a little wood shampoo, and that calmed him down.
Dude, nobody sympathized with the losers.
Oh no!
But when it came to racism or racial stuff, they would beat the fuck out of a black dude in the back of the paddy wagon. You know, they don't, back then cops, when they sent an ambulance, it wasn't EMT or whatever, the EMI,
Yeah.
EMTs. Yeah, there was the cops. You went in a regular Suburban, you know, the back end of a fucking truck that the newspaper companies used to, you know, pick up their papers with.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they'd never rat on each other. So I mean,
no, they didn't back then. Not even now. But my youngest sister, which is she's about 50 whatever now, 56, 55, I forget, but her friend from when we were kids, always a good kid, you know. She became a CSI in Milwaukee. And I was talking to her about this one cop died, one of them in a rollover. They were doing like 90 following this guy. Worst possible thing you could do on the wrong side of town, because they're not stopping. You can get that through your head right away. And this dude didn't have a seatbelt on. She said, you know, he said they don't wear that because they want to be able to, you know,
jump right out and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this skinny little dude, he looked like, you know, he was some young 18-year-old in the Marines with a hat that was bigger than his head. And he ended up, and this happened to another guy I knew. He ended up, the car flipped, and you know, he was thrown out of it, and the car crushed him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, what is with these guys? You know, well, they just want to go home. I said, well, maybe they need to be doing a different job. You know, because if that's your mentality, when I was a kid, if you ran the fucking red light, you were getting pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
Even if these guys were about to get off of work, you know, when I was driving the bus, every freaking night, a couple of times a night, there's the cops, here comes somebody blowing a red light, and I mean a good red light too, good for, you know,
solid red.
Yeah, dead red before they even got to the crosswalk, and the cops would just look at them and they mosey on down the road. Yeah. They had a no chase policy, and the next guy got rid of that. But the thing is, um, they would not. They would give them this token chase because you're watching them. I was watching them last night. Not last night, but one night I'm sitting at this bus stop. I'm a little early. It's a time point, so I gotta wait. I see these cops sitting in McDonald's parking lot, and they're not. These cars are driving like fucking crazy. And I look at them, and I was a good old distance away, but I'm like, well, aren't you gonna go get the guy? And then they leave. They turn their lights on. They get around the corner, and they're, you know.
Like, no, I haven't
saw-
finished my Happy Meal yet.
Hey, I saw one guy had his hair all neat, you know, like pretty boy, you know, hairdo and all.
Yep.
The uniform is starched or whatever, and his fucking and he was chased. Well, what he called the chase. Here goes this Pontiac G6, I think they used to call him before they went out of business, and the cop was like 40 seconds behind him. The guys were going faster than him. I seen with his fingernails, fucking, you know, like biting little hangnails off. He's, you know, he ain't in no hurry. And I saw that he just went down the road, and I saw where those guys went to because I knew the area. The cop just like, well, lost sight of him. Turn the lights off and go back. You know, take it easy. Those days are gone of doing that, man. But you know what? We had less people fucking around. It's just the ones that got caught are the ones that, you know, got the shit. I see those guys. I'd be in a bus driving. I see this over a license plate sticker. This guy. I look at the cop, you know, and he's like, I can see this look on his face. He's like, motherfucker. You know, I'm thinking, Jesus. What are you taking it first? I could see the guy had an expired tag, you know, and oh my God, it was a white cop on the north side of the predominantly African American side of town. You know, I don't know what the fuck this guy's. Oh, this guy took that job too serious, man. What do you do now? I'm just glad we're the age we are. You know what they got to do to keep funding Social Security? They gotta put a FICA tax on those people that make over $100 a month or a year. Otherwise, they're gonna have to jack up the retirement age.
I heard Trump wants to eliminate income tax for anyone making under 150 a year.
Listen. You know what that would do? That would deplete the trust fund that's built up. It would deplete it. So that would mean that they can only pay out what they're getting in, which would mean we're going to lose 21 to 33% by 20, unless something's done like that by 2031 or 2034, when we're 70. So you know, you're gonna lose 20 to 30%. If they all they gotta do is if they enact the FICA on the people like that, the status of or the state of Social Security would be fine for like the next 70 some years, you know.
I think they could easily cut out like 30 to 33% of the fraud, and it would last that much longer.
Well, there's your everything's got all of that, but it isn't all this shit that they're drumming it up to be right now.
You think all the money that they're illegally paying people?
They're not illegally. Who they illegally paying? They're paying us.
Yes, we are the legal ones. We're the ones that work to put in, right?
When you have a bogus
but people that steal a number and exist on that and collect benefits
sure.
that they didn't earn, then there is illegal numbers.
If people make up enough, they take a number off a name off some guy's headstone. they're gonna get caught eventually, but that isn't as rampant as they'd like it to be.
I think it's a hell of a lot more rampant than anyone knows.
And if you keep fucking no taxes for this, Reagan's the one that started Social Security tax. There was none before that. I mean, there was nothing. But if you deplete that, everybody's going, yeah, give me that $6,000 check, give me 1,500. Well, after you've depleted it, you're fucked. You're fucked.
Hey, how did this country exist? The Social Security didn't come in, or income tax, IRS didn't happen until like 1914. How did the country exist before they had an IRS? Huh?
Don't know.
Because of tariffs.
Tariffs?
Tariffs on other countries, yeah. On trade.
Tariff. Yeah. Well, a lot of things are in the world of what do you call it?
And like the top percent of earners pay like 80% of all the taxes anyways every year.
Mm.
It's like the top 5% of earners pay 80% of all the income tax.
I listen to that guy's channel once in a while, and he's always talking about. I haven't had a bad issue. I've only had pleasant experiences to date with folks on the phone. When I had to call up about not getting that proof of life form, I know I had sent it in. They said they never got it. So now from now on, I'm sending it to LBC, right? It's in Pennsylvania somewhere. I'm not. I called them up. It took me about a half hour because when they got too many phones on their phone bank, it just cuts you out right away after they go through their recorded spiel. So I had to do that. I had to do that like 3 or 4 times. Then I finally got to where I was on the list, and I waited like 40 minutes maybe. And because all the one in Manila can do is give you direction. It's like the guys at the window. I didn't think they were just this, but they're like customer service representatives. But when I talked to them, I said, well, thank you for taking my call. Appreciate your service and have a good day. They don't, and you could tell one lady got perked up pretty good. Made her feel good. But these are the folks, just like in a restaurant where you don't fucking talk shit about the cook, and the guy's making your food. These folks could easily hit a wrong button. It would be probably a stroke, kind of, shit for everybody around here. But
and the thing is, why they got you by the short hairs is probably 60% of the people in this country retired rely on that Social Security for their only income.
Well, we got
that's the problem.
We're on the baby boomers. I think it was 1945 to 40 to 64 or something like that.
We were the tail end of the boomers.
The guy. See, I think it ends in 64. The guy said that there are more people retiring now than there ever were previously every year now, starting with us. So you got less people making more money. So the only way to do it is to, you got to jack up. You're either gonna jack it up a year or two, and it'll be like what's England like? UK is like what 70 years old.
I thought it was still 67, but maybe they're going to change it.
Over there?
I think.
Yeah,
because Twit was waiting until 67. That's what he always said.
Yeah, that could be right.
But maybe they're talking about changing it and moving it up to 70.
Yeah, I don't think they ever.
That would really screw him over.
Well, with something here, it isn't like you get grandfathered. If you're on the wrong side of the fence, you're getting screwed. If you're a year away from it, you're screwed. for another, whatever, 3 more years. I kept trying to tell my sister, she's born in 59. Told her when my dad's burial thing. She's telling my cousin she's going to retire. No, I can't wait till next year. I said, you're not going to be able to. Yes, I am. My friend gets this.
How old was she when she said that?
That was the year before, so she was 61. Yeah, she was 61.
So she figured at 62, boom, she's going to go grab it.
Yeah, I done a little bit of education on this stuff, just a little bit. And I said, there's different formulas. I said, you're going to be short. No, I'm not. My friend's this age, and fuck, that ain't you, is it?
You tell her you have to have 40 quarters. That's what they said.
Dude, she kept rambling and fucking rambling. And I said, I will bet you everything I got in my bank account to your whole check the rest of your freaking life. She just kept rambling. Sure enough, man. I said, I told her, I said, if you find out now, it'll be easier to take than if you go to you finally get to the teller window there and it's your turn and your bubble gets bursted. And she just ignored me. And sure enough, she said, oh, did you retire? I go, yeah. I said, what happened with Social Security? Oh, they said I was short. I told you were going to be short. She thinks I'm just saying that because she's saying what she's saying. I'm trying to get her to ease her fucking pain a little bit. So I said, whether you're going to have to work the rest of your life anyway. She goes, yeah, that's what they said. Well, fuck you. I kept telling you. But look at it this way. Your job or whatever will pay for your utilities or your car payment or your rent, one or two of them. But believe me, if you're back in America, you're getting pretty stir crazy, But
well, my one daughter here that just started working a few months ago. Well, yeah, she's the software developer. She's thinking of going in renting a 5-bedroom house with like 2-3 other girls. No. And she's like, well, Dad, can you be a co-signer on my lease? And I'm like, I said, I'm not. I said, I am not signing anything if you're sharing it, with 3 or 4. I said, because look, you're what, 22 years old. I said, we've all been there, right? You can go in with someone and say, oh yeah, we'll share, right? And then like 3 months in, they find a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they move out, right? And I'm like, I said, I want to see everybody who's signing a lease, and I want to see it proportioned, to what your portion is going to be. I said, if it was just you signing for your own place, I said, sure, I would do that in a heartbeat. I said, but not going in all, how friends are, right? They're your friends this week, but like 2 weeks from now, you get in an argument or they find somebody they want to shack up with, guess what? You're there holding the rent yourself, right?
Yeah, well, not only that, dude. My daughter Amy when she was in college, she had this roommate where dad owned a bunch of Pizza Huts. This chick was just she was just there to go through the motions. And this girl brought a boy back to the room so he's banging the shit out of her on the other side of the room. My daughter's in there trying to sleep.
Yeah.
That's the way you're all great. And you got that boyfriend. Well, he's eating this or he's drinking that. Or we can hear you having sex. Well, fuck all that, man.
But these things, I'm like, look, once you're out of high school, college, I said, your friends, you go your own way, right? It ain't college anymore where you shack up with 3 other people and they all promise, oh yeah, I'll pay the rent and I'll pay this part. And then one day they're gone and you look around to the other people and say, hey, where did so-and-so go,
Is she in a dorm? Is she in a dorm? Does she live on campus?
No, she's out of college. She's been working for 5 months now.
Oh,
This isn't a college thing. You know, these are
You tell her,
friends she knew from college who were going to be getting a job. And I said, that's another thing. I said, you're the only one with a job right now.
yeah,
They're supposed to be getting a job, and they probably are because they're all like computer science grads, you know. But
yeah, they're gonna get a
can't just
job as a night
you know,
cook at a hotel.
yeah. I said I've heard a bunch of I'm gonna's in my life, right? You know.
What you do is you're living at home and you charge her rent and you save it up for her or down the road and then give it to her as a gift.
Well,
But you know, unless you got,
that's the
yeah,
thing. That's the thing with Filipinos, right?
is
Their kids. My wife, she don't want to charge her rent. She
is
don't
she the
want to
only
make
one?
her pay for this.
Is she the only one there?
No, my youngest daughter's in high school, so
Okay, so there's
I
one
got
other
two
person.
daughters here.
Well,
But Filipino mothers, they all. What do you mean you can't make your kid pay rent? I said she's 22 years old. I said
yeah,
when I was 22, I had a spouse and a child. You know,
I had
I
two
was
kids.
responsible for her.
I had two.
So don't give me this. Oh, she's only 22 bullshit. That's an adult. You know.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah.
Filipinos are like that, man. If it was up to her, it'd be okay for her to live at home the rest of her life. You know.
Uh,
And I'm like, no, it don't work that way here.
my dad said, "When you leaving?"
Yeah. Well, I
Turned
was
18.
fortunate. My mom spoiled the shit out of me because I was 20 years old before I moved out, and I didn't know how to operate a washer or dryer. I
Well,
never washed my damn clothes.
in hindsight, I'd have never left, man.
Yeah.
Because my sister, one of my other sisters, and her husband, our family, my mom, dad, and her mom, his mom, dad, he's adopted him and his sister, but the parents have known each other since like 1957. My mom's the only one left now, but we would go over to their house and they had nobody else in the house. It was just him and his sister, so they were both gone, and they're living. They had my nephew Gary, and they're living at my parents' apartment. Three of them in one room. I said, what the fuck is wrong with his house? There's nobody there. They got all the room in the world. Because when I was getting divorced the first time, I didn't have nowhere to go. My mom was like, nice. She always tries to make up for it. I was like, Mom, I ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you can't stay here. And I thought, oh, fuck. Okay. So,
Yeah.
the last time I went out to eat with my father before he died, he was supposed to apologize to me for the way he was, and I said, I said, you don't apologize to me. It ain't gonna change nothing. He was an ass. So he's 80 some. He was 80, just turned 85. A little after a month or two after that. It wouldn't matter. It still fucks me up thinking about it now, but how childhood I had, but you already did what you did, man. He acted like he was bothered by having children. That's the attitude he had.
Yeah.
So I told him while we were there, I go, yeah, man, you stuck up for me that one time. I said, my dad said you could stay here. My mom's going, oh, great. When I reminded her of that, because she used to say, I'd never kick any of you guys out. She ran going on and on. I go, you fucking did me.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden she's feeling bad about that.
Yeah. Well,
But
I don't know. Like I said, most of my older four kids, they don't talk to me. They don't. My oldest boy, he calls me once in a while. They have, they feel how they want to feel. They're adults.
I don't throw it on her face. I never, I just mentioned it that one time my dad did, and that was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. And you know, that's all I do is mention. I think like every time I talk to her, I go, "Hey, remember you were this, you were that." That's not gonna do nothing for nobody now. I can't get that. I can't change that or get that back. You know.
It's like my three surviving siblings. I saw them at my mom's funeral back in October,
Hmm.
and I haven't talked to them since.
You what?
My one sister texted me, you know, but she was the one who was the executor, of my mom's estate, and I ain't never heard anything back about her about any. That's like my wife said. She's like,
What's in probate?
didn't you get a share? Didn't you get a share of your mom's? I was like, I don't know. I said I ain't worried about it.
Did your mom have a will?
I suppose I don't know. I wasn't the executor, so I
Well,
don't
you
know.
ask your sister. Call her up.
No, I don't care. I don't
No,
want to have to deal with her.
well, here's my sister. Here's my oldest sister. My mother was saving this money. I mean, it takes her like every dollar to stay at this assisted live independent, whatever they do, and she's saving this money for us. You know, and I thought, why are you doing that? I said, Mom. At the time, I said, Mom, I'm 61 years old.
Yeah.
You know, she still gives me $50 in a birthday card.
It's like I
Like,
don't need lunch money anymore.
I mean, and my nephew would always come over there trying to borrow some. You don't know, Grandma, they're messing with me. Well, you're 35 years old, motherfucker. You know, life sucks, don't it? You know, if you're not getting he switches goes to different companies, every couple of months. Every time I'd go by there, every month he'd have a different rig out in front, you
Yeah.
know.
I
And he would,
I got one letter back probably a month after the funeral, a letter from the attorney that said that I was one of the 4 for 5 surviving beneficiaries, right? And that's all I got. So she's never sent a breakdown of the estate. I don't want her to send me any money. Just put out there
yeah.
what you had to do. Share it with everybody.
Yeah, I had a ex brother-in-law. He had a big family, man. I mean, there were like fucking 8 of them, big boys too. All but one sister. All that's left is him and one sister. All his brothers and other sisters, they all died before they were 55, I think. And now the dad had land up in northern Wisconsin, and his sister's hoarding his shit. There's only him and her left. He almost died. He had a bypass surgery, and she's being real salty about this shit. It's just where the fuck is the love there? You don't. All the other 6 of them are dead, plus their mom and dad. They're all gone. So what's the deal? Why you? She's keeping all this shit for herself. That was what I had
I
heard
don't know.
back.
I think they kind of disliked me for, me and my wife moved in with my mom when we were married. When she came from the Philippines, we moved in because, of course, Filipinos, they're like, oh, well, you got to take care of your mother.
Uh,
So why don't we just live with your mother and we can, take care of her? So we did that. We lived with her for like 5 years. So I think that really ate at least on my sister, maybe the other ones too. But hey, we were helping him. My wife was cooking, doing everything. You know how they are. They won't let an old person do shit, right?
yeah.
So we were doing all that shit for my mom. But I guess they thought we were taking advantage of her by living with her.
I told mine. I said, you spend that money, man. I don't need. You know. I don't need. But the point I would make my sister. If she don't hear from me, she'll go, and then like down the road, I go, hey man, my mom having the money. Well, yeah, but you weren't here. That kind of shit like that. So,
When we lived with her, they'd hardly ever come over to visit because we were there, right? And they never like paid for shit for mom. I guess they figured we were taking care of everything. So, and yeah, I didn't mind because we were living there. I figured out we'll pay for everything,
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
were, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't spoken to them since the funeral home. So, and it
You know
doesn't,
what? If I got any,
if that's the way they want to be, fine. They're.
why don't you make a call? Call her and see what's going on with that thing. That's all you got to say. You don't got to get in an argument. What's the status of my the house and all that?
I don't care.
That's
Well,
all.
I know that she did contact me to say that there was what the last I heard about was what do they call it? Oh, there was going to be a closing on the house because someone had bought it, right? So, but she never said for how much. I knew what it was advertised at. She didn't say if they got what they, or she never. Sometimes if there's no will, is that when it goes through probate court?
Yeah.
Okay, but if there's a will, so there's no need to go through probate, right?
I wouldn't think unless somebody's got a contention about something.
Okay, but I mean, what they should, if you're like one of 4 or 5 beneficiaries, right? They should send out the exact same information to everybody, right?
Yeah,
to just tell you this is how the estate was settled, right? With numbers, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, I would.
Wouldn't you think that's the legal way to do things? I mean, and this sister works for a lawyer. She is his legal secretary, so she knows this shit, right?
She knows how to fucking get away with shit. If she wanted to.
So, and she was the executor, so they get to control everything. And
yeah, you know what? My mom and dad got my oldest sisters. When I said give it before they chose it. I said give it to the youngest one, Paula, because she's the most got the most sense out of all of them. I said you're leaving this shit with my and my sister was like yeah, whatever. The 2 burial plots that are left. Dad said whoever's first. I'm thinking to myself, but you should have your children first, and then I know she's thinking, oh yeah, it'd be one of me and one of my kids. Fucking trash, man. Shit. Those fuckers. Oh my god.
That's what I mean. I don't want anything to do if they can't be a decent, civilized, have a conversation with you to let you know what's up. I don't want to be bothered with them.
I was at the oldest sister's one of her houses one time. Otherwise, I didn't know where she lived. Yeah. This is funny. Remember that Tarrington commercial for that cigarette, Tarrington? They had that little black eye.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. I remember the black eye now. Yeah.
Okay, but it's Christmas Eve. We go, me and the ex with the kids. We go to the apartment. Mom and dad would have whatever. My mom always made a food yet. I thought there was 50 people coming. Yeah. So I'm walking. I get to near the steps. I look to my left, and there's my sister and her husband, her second husband. I thought, what the fuck are you sitting in the car for? And so I go in the house. They come walking in. They both got shiners, man. Fucking butts.
What, from each other?
Yeah.
Boxing match, huh?
This dude was he rode my bus a couple times years later, but he was a fucking like he only made it to 3rd grade or something. He was just he was trash.
That's what they call tough love.
Yeah, he was white trash, man. He was just I think he had a good job though in a foundry. Then he went to a more modern one where you don't get as dirty. And but when they walked in, I went to their goofy wedding. I go in the bathroom, take a piss, I come out, and there was a bridal party dance. I didn't know, I wasn't in there that long. But She thought she had a maid then. This guy, they beat the shit out of each other, man. I walk in there. My mom and dad went out of town. I was living there, and my sister has her own house. She had three of the kids there, and they were at mom and dad's apartment. My mom and dad went out of town. I said, "Well, I live here now. You can go." Well, they told me to stay here. I go, "Fuck it, I live here. You got a house, you know." First off, I walk in. My nieces, they're all little kids. I said, "Where's your mom?" "I don't know. She's in the bathroom." I walked down the hallway. Her ex-husband freaking giving her the what for, you know. And I thought, you got a fucking house, man, you know. So I wait out. I'm out in the living room, you know, when I just said what I said, but I'm waiting to tell him my story. I had to wait on him a little bit, you know. He was kicking her ass pretty good, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, you got a house, man. Why are you here in the bathroom? I didn't mess with him. They didn't know that I knew, you know. So I didn't say nothing. I didn't think
so
it was.
So you're just sitting in the living room when they're done and they come out?
Yeah. My nieces. I think my niece was about. Let's see. This is
should have asked him. Say, you want a cigarette?
Yeah. This is in 1985 or 6. It was 86. You know, then the nieces, they were little. She was little. And, you know, I'm waiting. I didn't say, oh, hey, I heard the whole thing. I didn't even want to entertain that fucking thought, you know. So, you know, that's when I started.
They call it bumping uglies.
Oh, just about it too, man.
I never did that around my kids. I mean, I wouldn't leave my kids stranded somewhere in the house while I was going at it somewhere. There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah, you're in the living room. I said, I live here. You can go. No, but they told me. I go, fuck, you know, fuck it. I got up and I left. I don't know where I went for the weekend. I forget. But I'm thinking, what a fucking dumbass, man. And my parents didn't believe getting around on my house was a nightmare. You know, I was almost stuck with her for fucking life. Not life, but, you know, I'd rather, I was getting to the point where I was just going to leave the house and not come back. And let them get thrown out, you know. But she's the one that I thought, well, I'll either ask my parents or her to come over to live here. Because she had needed somewhere to live. My parents were, you know, they were getting really, you know, getting older. So I thought, well, maybe we'll have them there. But my dad had these nasty habits. I go, I don't want that shit. So I told her, I said, $600 a month for the three of you. You know, one's a truck driver. They were like that cartoon we were discussing last time. They would wait till I got out. They would wait till right around noon before they come out of their bedrooms. You know, sleeping all fucking because they're up all night. And then they go at each other all day with little breaks here and there. Every day was like that. I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I want to come and go. I moved all my shit downstairs. My bed, you know, the rec room was divided into 2 sections. And I let them have the upstairs. I said, if I'd have known you guys were going to stay in your room, I'd have kept my shit up here. So they paid me once, half of what they're supposed to pay me one time. And she just thought it was a joke. You know, she's the dumbass. She's the dumbass that makes pork chops and whatever. Like right before I go to sleep, I gotta go to bed real early. You know, and then she's pouring the grease down the fucking drain. You know, it just.
What was the name of that cartoon? It wasn't Foghorn Leghorn, right?
Nah, I'm thinking like Ralph. One dog was named Ralph.
Right, one was Ralph or something.
It wasn't
I don't.
Wile E. Coyote or anything like that. Roadrunner.
I'm trying to think. I
How,
always thought it was like it was associated with Foghorn Leghorn, but it wasn't.
that wasn't that one with the Rocky the Squirrel either. You know.
Yeah, that was Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the hell the name was. Right? Because didn't they have like the bulldog and shit? No, that was Foghorn
Yeah.
Leghorn. Had
Yeah, I think so. All I know is those guys.
Remember because it was that one. It was like a sheepdog, right? And his hair, his bangs was always over his eyes, right?
Yeah. That's right.
The other dude, who was the guy that punch out? One was that big sheepdog, and what was the other one?
It might have
What
been.
was it? Was it a sheep or a?
Maybe a cattle herder or something. Maybe they had, the sheep.
No, they were both animals, right?
Yeah, they were dogs.
What was the sheepdog, and what? I don't know what the other one was. God.
They go clock out, clock in, and when I was watching
right.
it when I was a kid, I thought, fuck, they're kicking each other's ass. And now
yeah,
they're buddies.
Then they go home for the day. Huh?
Ralph, have a nice day.
God, what was that? The name of that cartoon? I can't.
Oh man, I like the guy.
I'm gonna have to search now.
I like the line that was Heavens to Murgatroyd. I forget what that. Oh my god, you're gonna love this, man. When I worked in the factory, when I worked in the factory, we had a real life Yogi and Boo Boo. The Yogi guy was tall. He was shaped like a bowling pin, really. And in his body, another supervisor was Bruce Bogus. Bogus, his last name. He was like Boo Boo. He fucking exactly, man. Them two together were like, oh man, I forget that cartoon, man. I thought the Jetsons were only on a year or two, and that was it. Sure seemed like they were on longer than that, but I saw a show or documentary on cartoons.
No, that might not been part of the Looney Tunes, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Nah.
Because I'm searching Looney Tunes, and I don't think I have Tasmanian Devil and all that other shit.
I think one was like a hound dog. It wasn't Huckleberry Hound.
Pepperly, Huckleberry Hound, maybe?
No, that wasn't him.
But I'm looking. I'm searching right now, Google for Looney Tunes, and I don't. They have all the other cartoons.
I remember that the one dog, like the sheepdog, the other one, I could have swore he was like the hound dog one, like what's his name was. I gotta go pee. I'll be right back.
All right.
Just type in two dogs, cartoons, two dogs fight.
Barnyard Dog? I don't know. Let me see. Let's go.
Maybe it was Huckleberry Hound. I don't know.
No, I'm looking. It's got like 42 Looney Tune characters, and he wasn't one of them. But man, you remember the Mexican mice, Jose and Manuel. Remember them? They were
Who?
always hot. They were always high. Jose and Manuel. The Mexican. No, they weren't mice. They have beaks
Pepe?
on. There's some kind of
Speedy Gonzalez?
no. It wasn't Speedy Gonzalez is a separate one, but Jose
He's
and
mice.
Manuel were birds or something.
Were they lazy?
No, crazy crows named Jose and Manuel are two Mexican crows in the Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes films. You don't remember them?
Nah.
They
If I saw
they
it.
were like crazy crows. They had sombreros on, and they were always like drunk, and they had a guitar, and they were singing to each other.
I remember that being drunk. But
you got to look up Jose and Manuel, man, under Looney Tunes.
Well, they still
And
got
watch some of their cartoons, probably. Yeah, they're also Speedy Gonzalez.
You know what's happening over here?
But that other one must not have been Looney Tunes. It must have been. I don't know what the other comics' names were.
Who was the lion in that show? What do you say? Heavens of Murgatroyd. Top Cat? Maybe it was Top Cat.
I don't know.
You know what they're doing here in the Philippines without explanation? They're taking the presidents off of all their paper money.
Off all what? The money?
Yeah, the paper money. They got some kind of email.
They don't like Duterte anymore, and
no,
probably Arap or whatever.
They took the Aquinos off of there. They took everybody. The first
off
president.
Of the currency, the peso bills.
Yeah, they put.
So what? They got all these new peso bills now?
Yeah, well, the 1,000's been out for a while. I had a couple hundreds last week. Well, when I was at the dealership, there was more than that. That was about a month ago. And I asked this young lady, I said, "What's going on with the money here? They're taking these presidents off." She said, "I don't know." I said, "Nobody's complained. They don't even make TV here because now you got what's his name's daughter saying, she's gonna run for president because she came back.
Duterte's daughter.
Yeah, she comes back from over the Hagues, Netherlands, and she's like, "Well, I don't, I resign myself to the fact he's not coming home or something. We'll ever come home, whatever."
Huh.
I don't understand on that. See, she don't want to. If she goes and fights or sound like a bully, she'll never get elected.
Yeah.
But logically, in here, different in America. You don't even have to depend. You don't even have to be in a debate to win.
Yeah.
Marcos didn't go to nothing. If that were that easy for us, man, I'd go run.
All you got to do is have a name, a popular name out there.
You know what this reminds. You know what this reminds.
That's why they said Manny Pacquiao. Well, he's a senator, right? Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Is a senator.
Yeah,
he's popular. That's the way to do it.
Oh, sure. What I see happening. The midterm elections are going to be swinging to the Democrats because of this Social Security stuff.
That's all a lie. They're saying, Trump's going to take your social. No, he's not. It's just it's a freaking, what do they call that? A red herring or something to a flashy thing out there. Something to Trump's against Social Security, Medicaid, and veterans.
He's going to do
that shit every election, both parties for decades. That's the way to scare people.
He's not going to do anything about it. But he has no more taxes, this and that. That's going to deplete that system before it's time. But my point,
all it's running on is IOUs. They
won't
up money years ago.
None of the presidents want to be the one to change anything. But my point was, all this stuff that Democrats, the best they can throw at you is fucking Clinton and Biden, for Christ's sake. That was like, but I see that these guys won, and they're acting like a group of punks that got everybody on their side. So it doesn't matter how they act or what they say, and they just go about it every day like we'll be here forever, and the other guys won't. But I am the only thing I give a shit about is my checks. I want my fucking checks on time. They've never been late since 1935, ever. But I'll get caught up in that shit a little bit. My computer here, but all I give a fuck about, all I care about is me getting mine, and I don't want to be 70 years old. And what is that? 2031, 6 years from now, 69, going on 70. Somebody's going to have to do it, but none of the systems they run it with are, they're dinosaur. Nobody wants to put no money into it, but it is the world's most successful social what would be the word? I forget. Social Security, not just Social Security, but
I don't know. England's giving out a lot of freebies to everybody, free health care.
Well, you know what I like about they let America get their hands dirty all the time and don't pay us, but that's how you buy friends. That's how you, because you stay numero uno, but by giving a little bit. Give a little bit, you get a lot, like that. But for him to go, well, they got to pitch in. Well, yeah, we know that, but they haven't. So this is why everybody looks to you. But then with the problems they have over there, you're being so close to their backyard. These guys talk like they lost. Equipment is staggering. The amount of people. I mean, I used to think some of these figures might be over exaggerated, but what did we lose in Vietnam? 58,000.
Yeah.
In how 10, 15 years or whatever. He had advisors going over there during Kennedy, but I'm so glad I'm here. I haven't switched my computer over to the put that I'm, this hemisphere here. So all I care about, I get that SS.
It keeps buying your food.
And I told my sister too. I said, look, 66 years, 10 months for you. It's 67 for me. No, it's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep telling yourself.
Ask her, have you ever gotten a Social Security statement that explains all this shit to you? Probably not, right?
Yeah, probably not.
It has what age you would get what, if you qualify right now, what you need to do to qualify. Remember, they'd send that statement out and tell you that shit.
Oh, you do it every month. They did it every quarter. Huh.
Now, nowadays, they don't send that shit out in the mail, I guess. They do it
No.
That's why you got to have an online account.
Yeah.
See, now they're whining what might affect you is that they want you to come in person now to prove. You know how you used to get that proof of life letter?
Yeah.
So what's going to screw with a bunch of people overseas is if they have this thing where they want you to come in, when you're going to physically change your direct deposit, they want you to come in person.
The only people that I see, you got a lot of people saying everybody, but I read a little piece today, and it said that the people that will be, they talk right right out of the gate like it's going to be every single person, but from what I read, it's going to be those people that are applying for benefits and or the people that are changing their direct deposits are going to have they're going to have to go in.
Right.
They're going to have to go into offices are closing, so it's hard to say where. One old man said you travel 50 miles, about in the boonies. But for me, for me, I don't know. If I go down to Manila, flying back to America, I go to Guam. I go to Guam. They got to have an office there. 4-hour flight from Manila, something like that. They got to have one. I was going to Google that. Forgot all about that. You don't live here, okay? And if you live in Manila, instead of paying like a 3,000, 3,200 for processing, well, the people that help process it for you, they cost. I think in Manila cost like 8,000 pesos.
To do what?
With the 13A.
8,000 pesos.
Yeah, and in Manila, I think it's what is it here? It was. I can't. It was 15. It was 1,500. Something like that. Anyway, I got to put in one more starting in July. I got my driver's license, Got that. I got that when I came back for good. Oh, I got that. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't very difficult at all. You walk in, they'll say, what do you need to have? What do you need? What business you got? What do you want to do? Well, I got a convert a license. Okay. You go wait. Call you up there. Here's my passport. Is this the last day you were in? Last time you entered? Okay. You do in 2027.
Okay, hold on. I got to switch. My AirPods are running low. I got to switch headsets, so we'll see how this works, all right?
Yeah, okay. Oh boy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I get you.
Yes, you can. Huh?
Huh? Sure I can.
Wait.
Well, you can't hear me that I hear you?
No, I'm trying to hear in my headset.
Oh.
Okay, now can you hear me from my headset?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The audio is probably a little bad, but hey, yeah, if you want to just Google Jose and Manuel. Those are the two crows, Mexican crows that are like always drunk and stuff. If you want to get some good laughs, man, go back and watch some. those were some of the best cartoons ever.
Well, they said it would turn the kids to violence.
Right, right.
Got now? What do they got now? The Roadrunner was.
How did we
Roadrunner,
survive? We had seat belts. We rode in the back of pickup trucks.
what's the
And
next this? Hey, this. When I lived above a bar, my dad's apartment managers, the guy's dad had a bar. He ran it. So this one guy, Tim, he was one of the neighborhood. All these guys grew up. They're a little bit older than us, and Tim was drunk. It was his birthday, and they had him in the back of his pickup truck, and they were rolling it, fucking hitting the brakes and roll up to the front, And they had right on the corner where this they had a county park was there, and there was a building called St. Vincent de Paul, and it was they had a lot of different things throughout the city, but this one was a alcohol rehab place or something, and they tried dropping a guy off there, but the place wouldn't take him because they needed I forget what they needed, blood relative or something. What was those crows' name again? Cartoon, two Mexican crows. Two crows from tacos. What is that? Two crows from tacos? 1956. Oh, Jose and Manuel. Yeah. Oop. Keep the volume down there. Oh, yeah. Warner Brothers come Looney Tunes cartoon with two dogs fighting each other every day, clocking in, clocking out. Oh yeah, yeah. Where you at? Eagle. The name of this fucking one doesn't tell you. Ralph Wolf. Oh, okay. Ralph Wolf and Sam Sheepdog. You there yet? Welcome. Welcome, welcome. The background. Yeah, that's what it is, man. Morning, Ralph. Morning, Sam. Ralph Wolf. Yeah, that's the Looney Tunes. Ralph Wolf and Sam Sheepdog. Oh, wow. Can't be, man. 5 hours, 18 minutes. Ooh. Eco. Wolf and Sheepdog. Sheepdog keep the wolf away from the sheep herder. A little bit. He dropped one of his earbuds in the toilet. Come on, Ralph. And he went to drop a deuce. Looney Tunes. So, what's going on, Kiko? Well, I'm gonna get going to bed here. Done. Damn. The hell is this all of a sudden? All right. Adios, amigos. See you next week.